through my comments. We did ask in committee that the staff come back because there's like 5 other things that are incorrect in the fee schedule. They haven't been updated, okay? So if trustee Bockhorst wants to, so if we wait or to do this till the next time, we can get them all done at one time. So we can update the fee schedule all at one time, and trustee Bockhorst can bring back or introduce, so it's on the agenda, and we can actually talk about it, an amendment to the budget, so we can get rid of the fee. I'm just saying it would make process sense.
Now, from the standpoint of where we're at right now, March 1st was the trigger.
But there's 4 other fees that are incorrect, we're not fixing those today. So, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying, it's incorrect, and we're not fixing it today.
But we're imposing a fee on residents, and our fee schedule should reflect. It's in the budget, we approved and authorized the fee, but we're amending the fee schedule so that it complies. We are not gonna, now we have the $2 question, which maybe, are we reversing our budget decision? And
That's what I'm asking.
where's the 50,000 coming from? And who's paying the 50,000 in parking? This is a fee that relates directly to the cost of permit and processing, and the police being able to scan the parking, the license plates. And we were able to reduce the number of clerks at the police station because of the system, modernize the technology. So we're going to not collect the $2. Then that's a bigger policy.
And we've started collecting the $2 a few days ago. Is that a correct statement?
And there was a glitch, right? I think that's what, I just wanted
After
to-
a
Just a
weekend
tiny-
glitch.
Yeah, that was a glitch.
It is a bigger policy decision.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Are you done?
Right, do you think you're giving the last word?
I'll speak into the mic because I don't say this very often, but I regret, well, I understand why we imposed a fee, and I do think that it was responsible in some ways, but it was short-sighted in other ways because our residents do look at overnight parking as a service. And so we inadvertently, I feel that by voting for that, I inadvertently cut services. And I am usually not, I don't support cutting services because I really place a high value on the services that our residents receive. And so for that point, I want to make an apology to the residents for my oversight and short-sightedness in supporting that fee, even though structurally it was the responsible decision to make. And so for me, what I'm going to do moving forward is to, in the budget process, think very carefully about when we are trying to balance the budget or to sort of balance the, adopting new technology and things like that that may incur an internal cost, that we really be mindful about how that translates to a service level for our residents and try. So I don't want to be in this position again. So I am going to vote for the resolution tonight because it is a housekeeping. I have to take responsibility that I did vote for something, but it was inadvertently a service cut, and I do apologize for that, and I don't want to do it again.
One comment on the service cut. It's really not a service cut. It's an increase of the service charge.
Well, it's a
increase
full
of
like
Something like hairs there.
Well, and I'm just saying how residents expressed it to me, and I said, gosh, I never thought about it that way. I saw it from an internal operations point of view, but from the outside, you're right. And I have had family visit. I don't have family that lives here, so when they come to visit, I call in their vehicles, and the thought that, and our visitors always say, that's so cool, you can just like call that in and it's free. And so I think that it's
Many
not.
places you don't even have to call it in.
Well, exactly. My point being, it was an inadvertent short-sightedness on my part. I apologize for that.
All right.
Moving forward, I'll support the resolution.
Thank you so much. I voted for it too, and I just want to make, I'm not apologizing for only one reason I want people to know. I would gladly reconsider the vote, and I'd gladly, and entertain an amendment to the budget. I'd like to hear a process where we can get some resident input so they know why the fee was established. In 2015, just to add to Rebecca, I wasn't on the board, this is a prior decision before I got here, but when the village took the step to modernize its convenience factor to the residents to be able to do things online and get your permit, we implemented the village. I say we because we're all the village, but there was implementation of fees, convenient fees on parking when you pay your parking citations. There was when you pay to get a permit. So there are various fees that this was just forgotten. And luckily we caught it because it is a structural deficit problem, meaning it's an ongoing thing. So if we're consistent with that regret and calling it a cut of service, I just want to be sure that we probably should take away the other convenience fees for getting other kind of permits. So it's very similar. It's just a fee. It's a convenience fee. It was forgotten. I'm okay with amending that, but if we're going to use the same logic, I think we need to use it for all of the things that we implemented with Duncan. And I'm not disagreeing with that logic. I'm just saying I want to make sure that we understand there was more than just this fee.
I've been searching for dates and calendars, but I want to be clear. I did vote, and I stand by my vote approving the 2018 budget, which includes these fees. I was not, and I know there were 2 of the 4 budget meetings I couldn't make this year because I was traveling for business purposes, and one of them was the time that this was discussed. I would like to think that, in hindsight, that I would have had the foresight at that time to bring up these issues that we're bringing and identifying these things. But I just want to say I don't like the $2 fee, I think Trustee Amenta had some comments on the budget, and I'm going to let her ask her to make those comments, because I would like to move ahead approving this resolution with striking that first line, taking the $2 out of the resolution.
Oh, I just pointed out to Trustee Zovic that the proposed budget had revenue of $276,000 and expense of $266,000 with a net change of, so our revenues exceeded our expenditures by about $10,000. The addition of the it's actually $60,000 in the budget, ups the revenue to $349, and the expense goes up a little bit to $270. So the surplus of revenue over expense is $78,000. I guess what I'm trying to say is the money that we budgeted, just falls to the bottom line in the parking utilities. So it's not causing us to actually spend anything or use up any surplus or anything like that. It was just added to the revenue, and our expense stayed the same. So. But I'm not clear how
I thought that we made the decision because it was going to cost us an extra $40,000-$50,000 if we didn't get this $2 recovery. If that's not true, I want to know that.
I think that it has always cost us this amount, but we weren't charging for it. So I think the discussion was that
when you say always, we didn't have Duncan always.
Well, since we've had Duncan,
Okay, since we've had
Duncan, it's always been part of what we've been paying, but we never charged for it.
Sure.
So I think that was the rationale, was, well, we know there is a cost there. It's an existing cost, why don't we charge for it? But the way the budget is set up, it is just falling to the bottom line.
Has Mark changed his recommendation?
I have a different recollection of how. So my recollection of the 2015 decision was that we did feel that this was a service and that we didn't want it to be charged for with the switching to an online system and to using Duncan. So it was not forgotten. My recollection is that it wasn't intentional because we saw it as a service to the residents, that we wanted to keep it. We didn't want to penalize the residents for taking on technology. And that it was not seen as a structural deficit at that time. My recollection of how it came up in the budget was not a recommendation to kind of not sure, but a question from trustee Rosick about, you know, is this,
No,
that's my recollection.
that's why I asked Mark, because he made the recommendation to us, and I supported it, as we all did, but I want to know if his recommendation changed.
For the record, I did not support it.
My recollection of the budget process was that the question was posed, at what level would this fee have to be set at to recover the costs of the program if we were to implement the fee?
Right.
My answer to that was $2.
It's a little different than a recommendation.
And this is all evidenced in the October 23rd, 2017, Part 14 video, which is where we had the discussion. I know we're not going to listen to it tonight, but just for my fellow board members and for anyone here, if you'd like to see the board discussion at that time. And I agree with Trustee McKay that it is a service to our community. The fee that Duncan charges us for paying parking tickets is a penalty. So we agreed at that time to raise the prices of the parking tickets to absorb the cost of the processing, because it also saved us money in administrative charges as far as we were able to, when one of the one of the clerks at the police department resigned, we didn't have to refill that position. So that was a trade-off, but to me, this is a service that we are taking away, and I understand that tonight, for the purposes of the budget and housekeeping, that we have to vote on this, and I will also like to clarify that during this robust discussion that we had on October 23rd, 2017, that I agreed to continue forward with the budget discussion, but it was majority in the room were saying that they would support this. So, and that's how we do a collaborative budgeting process. We don't take a vote on every single item on the budget. And you all on the board know that to be true.
I would
So,
just ask in the future, if we're having deliberations and there's information like that from the past, that you could say it while we're having deliberations, so that we
You will
benefit
see
the
it
other
there.
board. No, not that you didn't agree with it, but the past of why, you know, when we're talking about raising the fee, it would have been helpful to have that, you know, you're saying it now, hindsight, but it would have been very helpful for me in my decision.
feel free to watch the video and you'll see my rationale.
Not your rationale, but the information about why in 2015 we didn't impose the fee would have been helpful.
Can I just point out that, you know, at least 3 of us have said, you know, there's no reason we can't amend the budget and revise this fee and take it out of the budget and not charge the fee. And at least 3 of us have mentioned that that's kind of the way we're leaning. I mean, we don't have to take action on this resolution tonight, and maybe it could come back at our next meeting as, do we want to look at this again, revise the budget, and
Before you do, Mark, are you going to respond to that?
Well, I have 2 comments to add from trustee Amenta has concluded.
well, that's what I'm suggesting, that whoever made the motion withdraw it and that we table it and come back and discuss it next time and see if we want to amend the budget and change the fee.
I mean, I just, for the greater good, I guess I'll ask the village attorney. Sorry, Nathan.
I think I know what's coming.
Updating the fee schedule is a relatively perfunctory task.
Yes.
The board still approved the fee in the budget cycle.
Right.
So failing to update the fee schedule will have no real impact on whether the fee is charged, right?
Whether the village can enforce it, or whether the village can still collect it,
Or wishes to?
or wishes to.
I mean, the fee was approved.
But, be
Yeah,
careful, because we have a fee in here saying $45 for monthly permits, and for a year and a half, we've been charging,
I mean,
50.
the fee
So I just
schedule's-
be careful.
The fee schedule is a communication tool.
Yeah, well, here's really, and I'm glad you mentioned that earlier, because I was talking about that, we were talking about that. The fee schedule, so that every time that we change something that we charge for a reinspection fee or a conditional use permit, whatever it might be, so that we don't have to amend individual ordinances that already exist all over the huge code. All of those individual spots just say, see the fee schedule. And so when you take it, when you act as a body to say we impose this fee, there's a public record of that. It's, you know, it's part of the minutes, it's part of the agenda, it's part of the motion that was approved. And the idea is, for the benefit of residents, is to say, okay, let's put all that stuff in one place over here, we'll call it a fee schedule, and we'll pass a resolution so that we don't have to amend an ordinance, and we'll just put it in the fee schedule. The fact that if somebody came in to, for example, say, municipal court and said, well, you know, gee, the fee schedule is an error, my argument as a municipal prosecutor would be that the controlling document is the action taken earlier by the board, and here's, you know, here's the motion that was passed, and here's what they did in the budget process. Now, it was funny because I had just said earlier, I hadn't really looked at real closely at what exactly happens if we don't put it in the fee schedule, but it's still part of the budget process, because I thought it was just gonna be a house cleaning type of a thing that was gonna get rubber stamped, and nobody had asked that question. But I do think that it was appropriate, because it was part of the budget, that we've already started to collect the fee. And I think the short